Friends, today we are going to discuss about design of bevel gears, part 2 of the unit 2. Last week we have seen how to design helical gear, one small problem solved on it. Today we will see the basics classification of bevel gears, then some of the terms or you can say terminology associated with the bevel gears. And after that, day after tomorrow, we will discuss design of bevel gear based on beam strength and uh, wear strength, and one problem on bevel gear design, and we will discuss in, we will discuss during third session uh, process in bevel gear as well as helical spur, all the process which are going to act on all types of gears. Okay, now let us see today bevel gears. Learning objective of the today's session. After this session, you will be able to explain the basic types of bevel gear and its terminology. Now, you know very well there are 4 to 5 type of gears. One is spur, then second helical, then third one is bevel, fourth one is the worm and worm, fifth one is the rack and pinion. By using these gears, we can easily transmit power or emotion. And you know very well their applications, their efficiencies, and how much is the speed reduction ratio which is possible in different gears. Now here today we will discuss classification of bevel gears as well as the terminology associated with the bevel gear. So you know very well in general main purpose of bevel gears to transmit power between the two intersecting shafts. Two intersecting shafts means when the two shafts, look at the figure here, you will find this is the axis of the gear and this is the axis of the pinion. These two axes are intersecting, or you can say in general the shafts are intersecting. But in general, when these two shafts which are at 90 degree, that time to have a right angle power transmission bevel gears are prepared. In some of the cases when this axis or intersecting, the angle between them is less than 90 or sometimes more than 90 also, we can use bevel gears. Again here, in some of the cases, bevel gears are used only to transmit power at 90 degree without any speed reduction. Without any speed reduction means size of the pinion as well as size of the gear which is same. That means pitch circle diameter of the pinion and pitch circle diameter of the gear which is same. Just to transmit power at 90 degree, bevel gears are used. And you know very well how much is the maximum power transmission or speed reduction ratio which is possible in bevel gear, that is up to 3. Up to 3, maximum up to 3. Maximum up to 3 means suppose pinion rotates at 300 rpm and you will get the power at bevel gear, or bevel gear runs at 100 rpm. That means maximum speed reduction ratio, that is 3. Try to understand, and always use maximum 3 or less than that, or sometimes 1:1 just to have a power transmitted at 90 degree or at right angle. Again here, that's why I have written bevel gears are used to transmit power between two intersecting shafts. And again, second one important one, that is just to change the direction of rotation. Change the direction of rotation means at 90 degree transmission. That's why it's written just to change the direction of rotation. That during that time, the size of this pinion and the size of the gear, which is same PCD, same, everything is same. It is just used to transmit power or motion at 90 degree. Then again here, classification. In general, bevel gears are classified into two types. One is the straight bevel gear and second one is the spiral bevel gear. Now you know very well, look at this in towards this figure, you will find this teeth, or what do you mean by how to manufacture this bevel gear. If you are going to observe, you will find is a frustum of a cone. On the circumference of that frustum of a cone, teeth are cut. But how these teeth are cut? When these teeth are cut straight, you can see it's a straight bevel gear. When these teeth are cut is having some curvature, so we are going to state it as a spiral bevel gear. Try to understand. The based on that, there are two types of bevel gear. One is straight and second one is the spiral. Try to understand. Now look at this here in straight, you will find these teeth and it's a frustum of a cone. If you are going, you know the very well how to obtain the frustum of a cone. When cone which is cut by a horizontal cutting plane, you can remove the apex part. What is remaining? That is frustum of a cone. And when on the circumference of that frustum of a cone, teeth are cut. When it's a straight, you can say it's a straight bevel gear. Look at this here. All these are the straight gears. Again here, another one is the spiral. Spiral means this teeth is having some curvature as well as for the bevel pinion as well as for the bevel gear. Okay, having some curvature. So you can see it's a spiral. That is the basic difference. But if you would like to make a proper comparison, you will find the straight gears create noise at high speed. Why it creates? It's like, you know, the spur gear. There is a sudden engagement and because of that noise operation. Then second, but because of this straight teeth, it is easy to design and manufacture. Which straight bevel gears? Okay. Then next one is the spiral bevel gears having this curvature, and because of that, it is design as well as manufacturing is not easy. It's a difficult one because of this having the curvature. Or you can say the advancement manufacturing technology or machines are required to manufacture such spiral bevel gears. But here it is having a one good another advantage. These spiral bevel gears are used for high speed and high power transmission because of better strength compared with the straight bevel gear. This is one major advantage. And second advantage is because of this spiral or the curvature of the teeth. Here there is a smooth engagement in spiral bevel gear, and because of that they can be used for high speed application with, or you can see you will get noiseless operation compared with straight gears. These are some of the important points. Based on that we can compare the straight and spiral bevel gears. Again here I have written whatever I have mentioned. Further I have written here these things. Here the gear ratio maximum, that is 3:1, and in some of the application you will find just 1:1 to change the direction of rotation. And you know very well where bevel gears are used. In automobile differential you will find the application of bevel gear. Again efficiency of bevel gear, that is in the range of 97 to 98%. And you know very well you will find high efficiency in case of spur gear 99, then helical gear maybe 98, 99, then bevel gear, and after that worm and worm wheel maximum 95 or less than that. During that time worm and worm wheel I will elaborate, I will discuss that thing why efficiency is less compared with the others one. Okay, then okay, 1 minute. Oh. Then there are two classification I have discussed. One is the spiral, second one is the straight. Then someone has written something here I would like to read. What will happen if the speed reduction in bevel gear is more than 3? Actually, the question is a very good question. In some of the cases, light duty application, you can take up to the 5 also. In some of the data books, it is mentioned. But why no need to go? Because you know very well when this bevel pinion comes in contact with the bevel gear, when in general to have a high speed application, spiral bevel gears are prepared, and there is you know we are stating it's a noiseless operation. But what is going to happen here in this case? uh, there is a sliding as well as the rolling motion, and because of that friction generation at a high speed is possible in case of bevel gear. This is the one thing, and because of that there may be possibility of damage means fitting failure of the bevel pinion as well as the bevel gear. In that case this may happen, and try to avoid this thing. it should be the less. This is one aspect. Second aspect, while mounting the gears in gearboxes, you will observe one gear is the like a cantilever one and another one is going to mesh it. After some period of time, there is also the some forces which are coming on the other gears, whatever may be the arrangement of their mounting. That is also the another aspects, and because of that, there may be possibility of the damage to the pinion as well as the bear gear. That means all these are the concerns are taken into account, and that's why we can use the velocity ratio which is less. So for a medium or a light duty, you can do up to the 5. It's not, there is no any issue. But in general, we can't go behind the 3-1. Try to understand. And why these gears are designed. You have other options just to transmit the power at 90 degree or to change the direction. This is the main advantage of the bevel gear. That's why we are using it. Why otherwise no need to use it. You have other options per helical, worm and worm bevel gear. I hope you got the answer of your question. Okay, let us see the another classification in another 1 year, another classification which is based on pitch angle. So what do you mean by, first of all, I would like to discuss the pitch angle. Look at this here. There are two gears. One is, this is pinion, second one is the gear. So look at this. This is the axis of the pinion and this is the pitch line. This one is the pitch line. An angle made by this pitch line with the axis is 45 degree. And this angle, I am going to define pitch angle. Pitch angle means angle made by this pitch line with the axis is known as pitch angle. And when, based on that, again, bevel gears are classified. Now here, 3 classifications are given. One is the external bevel gear, second one is the crown bevel gear, and third one is the internal bevel gear. So when this pitch angle is less than 90 degree, less than 90, so you can say it's external bevel gear. When pitch angle is equal to 90 degree for any one of the gear, then you can say it's a crown bevel gear. And when pitch angle is more than 90, you can say internal bevel gear. Now we will see, first of all, external bevel gear. External, when pitch angle is less than 90 degree. Look at this figure. This is simple one. This is the pinion, bevel pinion. This is the gear, and they are going to mesh at this point. This is the the pitch point, or you can say the pitch line. Pitch line making an angle of with this axis at a 45, and this pitch line of this gear also making with this axis 45. So as per our statement, when this pitch angle is less than 90, that means here it's a 45 for gear, 45 for a pinion. That means it's a external bevel gear. But based on that, another classification I will discuss with you. These gears are also known as meter gears. Meter gears means, look at this, pitch angle of the pinion, pitch angle of the gear, which is same 45, 45. Second, these are two identical bevel. When it's possible, when bevel gears are identical, it means bevel pinion as well as bevel gear. And when the size of the bevel pinion and the bevel gear same, they are identical and they are mounted on the shafts. They are intersecting at right angle. Look at this. This angle is 90 degree. So you can say such a gear is meter gear. In other terms, we will say meter gears are also external bevel gears because pitch angle is less than 90. Look at this. This pitch angle is 45 for the gear. We have to take into account only one gear and how much is the pitch angle of that gear. It's 45, and 45 it is less than 90. So it's a external gear as well as meter. So how you are going to define a meter gear? Meter gear means two identical gears mounted on the shaft, and these shafts are intersecting at right angle. Again here, this in meter gear, pitch angle for both means pinion as well as the gear, that is 45. And they are rotated at the same speed and having the same direction, they are equal one, just they are used to transmit power at 90 degree. Try to understand, this is about the pitch angle meter gear. This is about the meter gear. Now let us see another gear is the crown gear. I have already mentioned here, for a crown gear, one gear has the pitch angle 90 degree. Look at this gear, this is the gear, this is the axis, and this is the axis. And what is this? This is here teeth are cut on the circumference directly at the top surface, and this pitch line makes an angle with the axis here. How much? 90 degree. And when pitch angle is 90 for one gear, so it's a crown gear. Try to understand. And this is the missing gear, another one. So to forget about the missing gear. If any one gear is having the pitch angle is 90, you can say it's a crown gear. Try to understand. It's a flat one, teeth are cut on the surface, and this pitch line makes an angle with the axis. It is at 90 degree. So you can see it's a crown gear. But in this case, when crown gears are used, as I have stated, bevel gears are used to transmit power at 90 degrees, sometimes more than 90 or less than 90. So look at this here. In this case, this is the crown gear and this is the bevel pinion. If you are going to find out the angle between this bevel pinion and this, it's up to 90 plus you can add it. That means the shafts are making an angle more than 90 degree. The crown gears are used when intersecting shafts are having angle more than 90 degree. Try to understand. Then third type is the internal bevel gear. Now here in this internal bevel gear, what I have mentioned here, the pitch angle of internal gear is more than 90. How? Look at this. Now here, this is the one gear and this is the bevel pinion. This is bevel pinion. Now here for this, okay, 1 minute. Look at this here. Up to this, this is bevel gear, and this is from this to this is bevel pinion, and this is the pitch line. This pitch line makes an angle with this bevel gear. This is the axis. How much is the angle? Up to this it's the 90, and then this angle you can add it, so you will get 90 plus some angle for this pitch. So it's greater than 90 degree. The pitch angle of internal gear is more than 90 degree. Okay, so you can see it's a internal bevel gear. Again here, on this in the internal bevel gear, teeth of the bevel gear cut on inside the pitch cone. Inside the pitch cone means here it is teeth are cut here. Look at the arrow or the bar or the cursor. You will find here teeth are cut, and this is the missing pinion gear or bevel pinion. Okay. Again, the internal bevel gears are used in planetary gear trains. Planetary gear trains. Now let us see another classification. So we have seen in general two classification: straight, spiral. Then based on the pitch angle, that is meter gear, crown gear, internal gear, or meter gear is also known as external gear. But in meter gear, both the gears are having same size and the dimensions. Okay, and the pitch angle same. That's why it becomes the external bevel gear. Now let us see another classification here, that is bevel gears classified, that is skew bevel gears. Look at this, is very important one. Now look at this diagram here. This is the bevel gear and this is the bevel pinion. You will find here this pinion, axis of the pinion and axis of the bevel gear intersects here at 90 degree. Thus, and teeth are cut on this gear as well as the pinion, they are straight. So that's why when they are intersecting at 90 and teeth are straight, you can say it's a straight bevel gear. Look at this, it's a straight bevel gear. But look at this, the another case. In another case, second classification is this skew bevel gear. 1 minute. It's a skew bevel gear. Okay, look at this here. Teeth of the bevel gear straight, teeth of the pinion straight, but here they are non-intersecting. Look at this. They are non-parallel, non-intersecting. This is the axis of the bevel, and this is the axis of the bevel gear, and this is the pinion. So in skew bevel gear, give attention here. What I am telling, skew bevel gear, where two straight bevel gears are connected, or you can say the axis of the bevel pinion and axis of the straight bevel gear are non-parallel and non-intersecting, or you can say bevel pinion and bevel gear straight, they are mounted on the shafts, and these shafts are non-parallel and non-intersecting. So you can see it's a skew bevel gear. Again here, but which type of teeth here? Straight. So this is straight bevel gear. The same thing is there, but it's having a offset. Oh, why offset is there? because they are non-parallel, non-intersecting. That's why there is a offset in the apex. Try to understand. This is the difference between them. Then third one is the spiral bevel gear. And we have seen there are two classifications, straight bevel and the spiral. This is spiral. Spiral means this teeth is having the curvature for the pinion as well as the bevel, but they are intersecting. They are intersecting in spiral bevel gear. But another gear, that is a hypoid gear. I am going to define based on this. Hypoid gear is also a spiral bevel gear, but what is the difference? Here they are mounted on two non-parallel, non-intersecting shaft like a skew bevel gear. So what is the difference between skew bevel gear and hypoid? In skew, straight bevel gears, they are non-intersecting and non-parallel. Hypoid, they are spiral bevel gear but non-parallel and non-intersecting. That is the basic difference. Or there is a offset. And the fifth classification, another one is the phase gear. Here in phase gear, look at this. This is the gear and this is the pinion. But construction of this pinion may be spur or a helical gear. And phase gears are mounted on the shaft. They are at 90 degree. Look at this axis. Axis of the pinion and the axis, they are going to intersect at this point. They are at 90 degree. And teeth may be curved or a spiral. This is the phase gear. This is the some of the classification of the skew type. You should remember skew bevel gear. Then when there is a offset and non-parallel, non-intersecting, straight bevel gear becomes skew bevel gear. Another classification, spiral bevel gear, they are intersecting. But when there is a offset, non-parallel, non-intersecting, then it becomes a hypoid. And we again, because of this, the spiral or curvature, what is happening in hypoid gear? They result in some, the rolling and sliding motion, and because of that there is a some friction, and because of that efficiency of the gear gets you will find less compared with the helical and the spur gears also. This is about the classification of the skew gears. Again, look at this. I have taken some of the figures from the internet. Skew bevel gears, skew means straight, and here they are not. You look at this is the axis of the bevel and this is the axis of the pinion, non-parallel, non-intersecting. That's why skew. And another one is the hypoid. Look at this hypoid, the curvature, that means it's a spiral teeth having spiral teeth to this gear, spiral teeth for the pinion. But why hypoid? Again, its axis is non-parallel, non-intersecting. Here this is the axis and this is the axis, non-parallel, non-intersecting. That's why hypoid. Hypoid means spiral bevel gear having a offset, non-parallel, non-intersecting. Skew bevel gear means straight bevel gears, non-parallel, non-intersecting, having a offset. This is the basic difference. But look at the for the hypoid pinion, you will find because of that there may be possibility of sliding and rolling motion because of this construction. This is about the classification. Now we will proceed towards the terminology of bevel gear. Now look at this. I have taken this figure from V.V. Bhandari's book. You will find this is single bevel gear. Look at the nomenclature now. Here. Okay. Now here you will find cursor. Look at this. I would like to take the big point from this. Okay, pen. Okay. From this. Look at this. This is the bevel gear. You will find this is the axis. Then second, this is the pitch line where this gear matches with the another gear. Then again, angle made by this pitch line with the axis is known as the pitch angle. It is shown by gamma. Look at this gamma. It is denoted by gamma. Then this is the pitch line. I have already mentioned this is the pitch line. Then root, and addendum, dedendum, everything is same like other gears. Look at this. This is the this distance from the pitch line is the this one. This is addendum. This is dedendum. Again here, when you are going to find out the addendum angle made by the angle subtended by this addendum, you can say addendum angle. This is dedendum from pitch line to up to the root. So you can say angle subtended is the dedendum angle. Here it is shown from the bottom side. Simple nomenclature. Then this is the face. What is this? This is the face. Face means angle made by this face with the axis of the gear. You can see it's the face angle. Then this is the root. Face, root, pitch line, this is addendum height, this is dedendum angle subtended by this addendum angle, this is dedendum angle, and angle made by this the axis with the face. You can say the face angle here, it is mentioned, this is face angle. Then root angle means this is the root angle made by the root with the axis. And face angle again you can find out here, this is the root I have already mentioned, and this is the gamma is the pitch angle. When we are going to find out the face angle, to look at this face angle, what is face angle? This face makes with the axis of the bevel. But when we are going to find out up to this pitch line, it's a pitch angle plus angle subtended by this addendum, the addendum angle. So you can say face angle is equal to pitch angle plus addendum angle. Pitch angle plus addendum angle is the face angle. Similarly, you can find out the root angle. Root means this is bottom face of the gear. This is the root angle. And how to find out this root angle here? If you would like to find out from this pitch angle, this is the pitch angle. Pitch angle minus this is the angle subtended by the dedendum. The pitch angle minus dedendum, you will get the root angle. That means from geometry also you will observe. Then another sum of the term pitch cone. What is the pitch cone? You know very well, as I stated, the bevel gears, when the cone which is cut by horizontal cutting plane, remaining part is a first term of a cone. Now here, pitch cone is an imaginary cone, the surface which contains all the pitch lines. That means here you will find all these lines are the pitch lines on the circumference of that, the first term of a cone. Okay, so this is the pitch cone. Cone center means apex of the pitch cone. Look at this. This is the cone center. You have to remember some of the terminology. Then pitch angle, I have mentioned the pitch line which makes an angle with the axis denoted by gamma, that is pitch angle. Then addendum angle, angle subtended by this what addendum at the cone center. Cone center means towards this side, this is addendum angle. Similarly, dedendum angle, dedendum angle means this is dedendum from the bottom side, the angle subtended by dedendum to this cone center. You can say dedendum angle denoted by delta, addendum angle alpha. Face angle, face angle means angle made by this face means this outer face. Okay, with the axis, this is face angle. But how to find out face angle? Pitch angle plus addendum angle, you will get the face angle. Similarly, root angle, angle made by the root with the axis. How to find out it? Pitch angle minus addendum angle, you will get the root. I have written gamma minus delta, gamma plus delta. Then back cone. Back cone means imaginary cone. Look at this back side here of the gear here. Look at this. Here, imaginary cone and its elements are perpendicular to the elements of pitch cone. That means from this line, what we have to do here, look at this is the pitch line of the gear, line pitch line, perpendicular line which is constructed from this side as well as this side, and it makes the back cone right on there. The imaginary cone and its elements which are perpendicular to the pitch cone. Pitch cone means for this. This is the pitch line all of pitch cone. Right on this. Then back cone distance. Sorry, 1 minute. My mouse is not working properly, that's why I'm facing problem. Okay, now here another one is the back cone radius. Back cone radius means, look at this distance from the back cone center or the apex up to this, it is the back cone distance. It's the length of back cone element. Look at this apex or back cone center up to this pitch line. This distance is known as back cone distance, and it is denoted by RB, and it is also known as back cone radius. Because we are going to use many times this term, you have to remember this back cone radius. Why? Because while making this analysis, while designing the bevel gear, again we have to convert this bevel gear into formative spur gear or virtual spur gear. Then and then it becomes very easy to design the bevel gear. That's why this term back cone radius plays important role. By using this back cone radius, from up to this, we are going to construct here one spur gear from this point to 1 minute. It's not working properly, even though I will try like this. One formative gear we are going to construct here. Okay. Then cone distance. Now here cone distance is the length of pitch and cone element. That means from this we have to measure these two up to this apex. This is the cone distance or denoted by AO. I will show you another figure where you will get this. Look at this. 1 minute. Look at this. The sum of the the AO. What is this AO? Is the cone distance. Look at this. I have written AO, cone distance, length of pitch cone element. That means from this is the pitch line. From pitch line up to the apex is a AO. Try to understand. You have to remember this term. Then back cone radius that I have mentioned. It is the length of back cone element. Look at this. From this C up to this A. This is the back cone radius, and here we are going to construct formative spur gear towards this side. RB. It is denoted by RB. Then addendum and addendum. I have already mentioned to you. Look at this. This from pitch line to up to this. It's addendum HA. This is HB. HF here it is written HF for a addendum. Try to understand. Then look at this gamma. What is gamma? This is the pitch line and this is the axis. Pitch line makes an angle with the axis. You can say the gamma. It's a small gamma. Again, for the another gear, again this another gear pitch line makes with the axis. So you can use the alpha bit. This is also the gamma. I will discuss during the analysis. Okay. Then this is pitch line, pitch angle. This is axis, back cone. This is RB. RB means back cone radius. AO means cone distance, and pitch angle. This is gamma. You have to remember this term. And look at this. Capital D is the PCD of the bevel gear. How? Look at this. From this the pitch line and to up to this pitch line. Again here the question may arises in your mind. Look at this. Towards this apex, the cross section of the gears or sides. Look at this here. It is going to decrease. It is going to decrease. If I am going to construct the PCD capital D, which is mentioned by taking the dimension at the larger end, if I would like to take at the middle, this D is going to reduce, and for the inner side again you will find, look at this here, it is going to reduce. That means the cross section of the tooth decreases towards the apex, and that's why it's not possible to get the correct value of addendum. Where to take the addendum, whether at the large end, whether at the small end, whether at the middle, or in between the middle and the large, in between the middle and the small, how to decide it. And for that purpose, in general, in many application, these values of PCD, module, addendum and addendum, which is taken at large end, try to understand, which is taken at large end. That's why in this figure, this capital D is the PCD, pitch circle diameter of the bevel gear, which is shown. Try to understand. Don't take at this here. Don't construct like this, and don't construct like this, and don't take this. So always you have to take the dimension at the large end. Try to understand, because it is PCD, module, addendum, everything is going to vary because of this. It is going to decrease towards the apex. That's why we have to take it's at large end. It's a general practice. Try to understand. That's why here addendum which is shown HA at the large end, addendum which is shown at the large end HF, D is also shown at the large end, that is capital D. Try to understand. Okay, I hope you are getting this point. Then next one minute. Then next we will see the analysis of bevel gear. How to carry out the analysis is very important one, and we will cover this analysis also. Okay, no problem. Now look at this. Now while making the analysis of, in case of helical gear, when teeth are cut with some inclination, so we have taken the cross section, you know very well, normal to the teeth, and then we have constructed a formative spur gear or a virtual spur gear, and based on that we have used the fundamentals of that formative spur gear to find out the beam strength and wear strength of the gear. Here also, to find out the beam strength and wear strength of the bevel gear, and to make the analysis simple one, always we have to consider the true section of involute profile of the tooth. But in case of look at this figure, you will observe here this involute profile of the tooth. When suppose here this portion of the bevel gear or this side portion is going to mesh with the another gear, but true section of this involute profile of a tooth which lies on the surface of the sphere. Surface on the sphere means if you are going to construct, you will find it's like a spare one, and it's not possible to have such a figure in a 2D platform or on a slide. That's why just try to remember one thing: the involute profile of the tooth lies on surface of the sphere, and because of that, the exact profile of this bevel gear on this surface of the sphere. And if I am going to construct, you will get the mini pitch lines and on the surface of the sphere, but it becomes very difficult to represent it on a plane surface. That's why again here, to have an involute profile on the surface of the sphere, to make this analysis simple one, how to find out the beam strength and wear strength. Therefore, approximate tooth profile is required. Approximation of this tooth profile is required. And how this approximation is carried by the Mr. here, Treadgold. Look at this, name is given Treadgold's approximation. So what I am telling, the true section of involute profile of the tooth lies on surface of the sphere. It's very difficult to show it on the surface of the sphere and represent on a plane surface, but to make analysis simple one, to find out beam strength and wear strength, approximation of the tooth profile is required, and this approximation we are going to carry by using Treadgold's approximation. Now here, according to this approximation, tangent, look at this, the tangent which is constructed towards this back on side, this tooth profile lines or pitch lines, you can say in another terms, and tangent to the sphere at the pitch point. Pitch point means, you know very well, the pitch line at the end, this end and this end, the gears or a pinion which comes in contact. And this pitch point will closely approximate this pitch point. Here it is shown, look at the cursor, the surface of the sphere for a short distance, for the tangent which is constructed for this side, and it approximates the surface of the sphere for a short distance. This is one thing. Second thing, again, how it is constructed, because of that, where the pitch point of this back cone from the C, so we will get some distance here from this pitch point to this tangent at the pitch point. We can construct, considering this radius or RB, pitch cone radius. So what we can do, we can construct the year one gear, that is formative gear. Now here the back cone radius, look at this RB, this pitch cone radius from this point or from this point, any side you can construct. Here it is in another figure, it is shown from this to up to this is pitch point. This is tangent which is constructed as discussed earlier as per the Treadgold's approximation, and from this here one gear is constructed, and this gear is a equivalent spur gear or a formative spur gear having radius RB, try to understand. The RB is the radius of the formative spur gear, and number of teeth, look at this here, 1 minute, and number of teeth on this spur gear are denoted by Z dash, that is virtual number of teeth. Now, why this analysis is made? Because on a sphere it's very difficult to show. That's why the tangent which is constructed to the back cone, and considering this RB, this formative spur gear is constructed here, is having number of teeth, that is Z dash or virtual number of teeth. Look at this, and nomenclature, see, D is the PCD of the gear, B is the pitch width, A0 is the cone distance, O is the apex, gamma is the pitch angle, and again here one line AB which is constructed, which is perpendicular to the axis to make the analysis. RB is the radius of this formative spur gear. Now let us see how the analysis is carried out. Considering this RB, and for this formative spur gear, you know how to find out 2 RB means D. I am facing cursor problem. Okay, look at the Z dash is equal to virtual number of teeth on formative gear is equal to 2 RB upon M. 2 RB means it's a pitch cone radius is okay, but D by M is the Z dash. So we are considering this. Then second, Z is equal to capital D by M. It's as usual for a bevel gear. For a bevel gear, what is the number of teeth on bevel gear? D upon M. D means capital D PC. D at the large end. P circle diameter at the large end upon module. And in this case, 2 RB upon M. This is for formative spur gear as shown in earlier figure. Then you can do the Z by Z dash here. I have written by using this two equation. Z dash by Z. So what you will get? 2 RB upon M upon D by M. M gets cancelled. You will get Z dash by Z is equal to 2 RB by D. But you know very well what is here. I would like to show. Look at the earlier figure that again I will show to that diagram. Look at this here in this diagram. AB is constructed perpendicular to the axis OC. You will form a one triangle, that is ABC is the right angle triangle, and this angle is made by gamma, and this angle is 90 degree. By referring to this triangle, look at this here. I have written again sine angle BCA is equal to AB upon AC, or sine BCA is equal to, again what you will get, sine 90 minus gamma. If you are going to refer the diagram, you will get AB means D by 2. Why D by 2? Again I will show this figure here. Look at this. This AB, what is the AB? Total is D. The AB up to this you will get half towards this side D by 2, this side D by 2. Try to understand. So that's why here it is written D by 2, and AC means RB. AC means RB means here, look at this figure. Here is a hypotenuse of this right angle triangle. Look at this. CA is RB, and that's why here it is written RB. D by 2 upon RB is equal to sine gamma minus. And if you are going to sine 90 minus gamma is equal to, you will get the cos gamma. You can find out RB. The RB is equal to D upon 2 cos gamma. So what you have to do after that, you can substitute this RB here. 2 into D capital 2 upon cos gamma. The DD gets cancelled, 2 gets cancelled. What you will get? Z upon Z dash is equal to 1 upon cos gamma. Therefore, Z dash is equal to Z by cos gamma. After substituting the value of RB in this equation, you will get Z dash is equal to Z upon cos gamma. Okay. Now you can remember this equation. Z upon Z dash. Z dash is equal to Z upon cos gamma. Okay. Then again here, look at this. When bevel gear, which is in mesh, this is pinion and this is the gear. Look at this now. Again here, this is the pitch line making, look at this. Here I am considering this is the pitch line of the pinion, makes an angle with the axis, which is pitch angle, gamma. Then this is the DP. DP is the PCD of the pinion, pitch circle diameter for the pinion. AO is the cone distance. Similarly, look at this. This is the gear at the large end. Always you have to take at the large end. This is DG. Then this is the pitch line of the gear, makes an angle of the axis. That is also the gamma. Alpha bit is different one. This is also known as gamma. The pitch, this is also a small gamma. You can say large gamma, no problem. But we are stating it as a gamma, pitch angle. Again here, look at this diagram. From this B, line is constructed is the AB. The AB is perpendicular to the line OB. Consider the angle OAB. Look at this triangle OAB. If we are going to consider this triangle, you will find this gamma. Look at this, tan gamma is equal to what? समोरची भुजा भागिले लगतची. Front side upon adjacent. The AB bar upon OB. So what is AB? AB means DP by 2. Look at this, DP by 2. And what is this OB? Look at this OB. Here you will get DG by 2 upside. DG by 2. This is OB, but here you will find this is DG by 2. So I have put here dp by 2 upon dg by 2. So 2 gets cancelled. Tan gamma is equal to dp by dg. And again, you know, in terms of module and number of teeth, 1 pin mzp upon mzg. Gets cancelled. That is module. You will get tan gamma is equal to zp by zg. Similarly, you can find out this tan gamma, this large gamma. Again here this gamma, and again what you have to do, you have to take one angle here. You can construct from this point to this is, you can say this point is a B or B dash. OBA makes an angle of gamma, another one is 90. Similarly, tan capital gamma is equal to, again same thing, you can write this AB dash upon this OA, sorry, OA dash. You can substitute again here this, you will get DG dash dg by 2 upon dp by 2. If you are going to solve, So you will get tan gamma is equal to dg by dp. Try to understand. You can do at home just by constructing here one line which is perpendicular to this, and consider this triangle. This triangle means OA, and here you have to draw the line, this one. Okay. So you will get dg by this. And again, if you are going to add this angle gamma and large gamma, so what you will get, gamma plus gamma, this is pi by 290. So you can substitute this ZP by ZG, or is in terms of gamma, just gamma plus gamma is equal to pi by 2. So this is just, you should know large gamma and small gamma 90. Okay. Then we have to, important thing is sometimes in examination to derive this expression, and in beam strength equation also we are going to use cone distance. How to find out the cone distance, that is important. Now look at this here, cone distance OA. This, it's not the outer side at the pitch line, this is the OA. How to find out this OA? Or similarly you can consider this is the OA is the cone distance. If you are going to find out, OA square is equal to AB square plus OB square, Pythagoras, simple equation. The cone distance OA is equal to under root AB square plus BO square. And what is AB and what is BO, you know very well, that is dp by 2 dg by 2. You can substitute here. Look at this. OA is equal to AB square plus OB square. What is AB? dp by 2 square. And what is this here? This is dg by 2 square. Simple geometry. You can use Pythagoras. So you will get AO, or cone distance OA, is equal to this under root dp by 2 bracket square plus dg by 2 bracket square. You have to remember this formula, because in beam strength equation you have to put the value of AO. Try to understand. This is about the cone distance and some fundamentals behind the analysis of the bevel gear. How the bevel gear is converted into the equivalence per gear and the formatives per gear by using Treadgold's approximation, and why this approximation is required, that already we have discussed these points. And based on the fundamental and the geometry, how the cone distance equation is derived, and some of the the equations for the virtual number of teeth, and the tan gamma, that is the pitch angle, that is equal to mzp by mzg, or tan gamma is equal to zp by zg, and tan gamma pitch angle for large gear is equal to zg by zp. That's equation you have to remember, because while solving the problem we are going to use the same equations. Thank you. I have referred VV Bandari's book for this session. If you have any query, you can put in chat box, or WhatsApp me, or mail me. Thank you. Some